like I said, they don't have that support even in their friendship group. I can't say I have any close friends that live near me that I can ask, hey, do you mind coming to this location and taking a few photos for me for Instagram? They'd be like, what? Why? No. So for me, I'd have to go out and find my own support network and then build that up. And then hopefully the girls in that support group would want to build with me and then bring other girls in. But I'd definitely say there isn't like a certain support place where we can all go and like feel safe.
No, it's good that you mentioned that actually, because personally, until you said that, I didn't have an opinion about it, and I feel like my experience with music has sort of gave me an understanding. Now, you see, for men, it's a whole different ball game, and why I say that is this: it's like if you're a man and you want to put out a piece of work, or you want to promote yourself, or you want to be an influencer. Long story short, there's a lot of misogynist people out there, and that's what you got to understand. Like, men have to deal with the image or the stereotype of men in society, because if you don't fit into that in some form of way, you're going to get a lot of abuse. People are going to say, bro, like, this guy's a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's not right in itself, because see, with music, I've sort of understood myself and put it into it. And, you know, like, I've chosen to go upon the approach of, oh yeah, I'll make something that's real, authentic, and people can understand, because I feel like that's the best way to get people to like what I do, as well as for me to like it. But say I wanted to make music that was made for like TikTok and dancing and all this stuff, like, I wouldn't mind doing that. But the problem is, a lot of men are going to be like, that's weird, that's different, that's not cool, that's not right. And it's like, sometimes I have to sit back and think, like, people are really out there holding these stereotypes as if they're the real world. And so they put that into the world of social media and influencing, and they really they affect people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen so many rappers that do not, I could talk about this for days, but they do not do what they're saying they do in the real world. Do you know what I mean? Talking about violence, talking about all these sort of things, and especially with music. And then it's like, but hold on, when you go home, you're nothing like that, my guy. You don't do any of that, but you're just doing it for the image. You're doing it because if you don't do this, people ain't going to respect you. People ain't going to want to listen to you. So it's like, ooh, where is the fine line with this sort of stuff, you know? And I think that is a real issue in itself, personally, for me. What do you guys think? Aaliyah, what do you reckon?
Did you say me?
Yeah. No, I was talking about
Oh,
like how, yeah, I was talking about like how influencers, especially for men, and like how they have to like adopt their personality to fit a certain trend. And I just wanted to know what you think about that.
no, I completely agree with you. And I was even just reading what Ellie put in the chat about like guys that do like makeup tutorials and that kind of stuff being like bullied online for it. So I agree with what you're saying completely.
Yeah, you know what, Ellie? I didn't even see that. Apologies. Ellie said in the chat, a lot of guys, social media influencers who do makeup will get a lot of people saying that's strange or odd. They say that's not manly. And you know what? This is exactly what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like, or homophobic attacks, yes, completely. And you know what the funniest thing about all of this is? They don't even know who these people are. They know nothing. They just know what they post. And this is what I'm saying. Like, social media is scary for that reason alone. Is someone can see me post one video and think, yeah, I can gain an assumption of who this person is, and I can have an opinion that's so strong, I feel it's validated. And when I feel it's validated, I'm going to tell them about themselves. It's like, what? How do you come to this point? How do you get that point of view? And it's all about things like stereotypes and the way that people consume media. It's a lot deeper than just influencers being influencers. It's about the influenced and how they choose to adapt to. For me, I know, again, like, if I go onto social media today, I'm gonna see a certain rapper of image, because he's gonna get people in the comments like, yeah, you're hard, yeah, my guy, hard, all of this stuff, and it's like, bruv, but when he goes home, he's not this guy. So is it like a thing where you have to present an image that's not true? Because I personally don't. But yeah, Sarah, what do you think?
I think it is definitely going back to you have to show what people want to see from you, because if you post yourself these days, like, this is how I think everyone wants to see you. This is not how I think it should be. But I think everyone has such a high opinion, like you said. There's such a big stereotype on who people should be and how they should be doing things, and if they don't do it the way that people want, in a way it seems like they get upset or jealous that you found a alternative route, and then obviously that backlash does start again.
100%. Like, I'll get to you, Aaliyah, as well. I want to say, like, I've seen situations where rappers who I like and grew up listening to will change their genre and go and try something different because they feel like they'll enjoy it. But you see, the problem is this technically, he's an influencer. He influences in the music that he chooses to do. So when he changes his genre, people are going to call him a sellout for the fact that he don't do the same kind of music. I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense because this is just music. This is what people like to enjoy to make and they choose to listen to. So you can't call someone a sellout just because they make a certain type of music that they didn't normally make. It's like, those are the things I'm talking about. Like, exactly how Sarah said, you have to sometimes, well, you don't have to, but unfortunately, media expects you to make what people want to listen to. And if it's not what people want to listen to or want to look at, then you're not in that circle. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, I completely agree with like what Sarah said. And I think that actually causes like a lot of issue for people because they see like their social medias and they see like, well, they hear what's in the music and stuff and they think that it's real. And then they want to live that. But it's like that person isn't even actually living that.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's just, I'm laughing because it's like, I've seen so many instances of this. And it's like, sometimes I might just find it amusing, but as a person who wants to, like post stuff on social media to gain traction, sometimes I have to sit back and think, why does a person do that? Why do people feel so inclined to, like Sarah said, post what they like to keep the peace? Why do they feel so inclined if it's like taking away their identity just to do that? What do you think, Aaliyah?
I think it's because it's scary. Because people on social media, like, they can be mean. Like, let's be real, people can be mean. And I think it's scary to put your honest and true self forward for people to see. Because if they are mean, it hurts so much more than if it's fake. Do you know what I mean?
100%, 100%. Because it's like, if I chose to make something that's completely not authentic, and someone went, "That's whack, bruv," I'm gonna be like, okay, but I don't care because that's not me. But then I think that's kind of the problem as well. Do you get what I mean? Is like, I personally, from my own opinion, I don't know how everyone feels because everyone's different, but I couldn't wake up in the morning and do something that's not authentic because I wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night knowing, yeah, I've just done this banging thing, but I didn't even like it. And it sort of leads to, like, with music, like record labels, record labels, the way that they function is they'll sort of say to you, right, we want you to make this and we will give you this to make this. But if you don't do this, we won't give you nothing. And it's like, ooh, some people are attracted by the numbers, end up signing these things, and then for the next 5 years, they got to make pop music. But really and truly, he wants to make rap music. So it's like, oh my days, what? Like, do you get what I mean? So it's like, instead of all this hard music, he's singing lollipop, lollipop. It's like, so do you know what I mean? Like, where is the fine line of originality but also success? What do you reckon, Sarah?
There is obviously another option where you can post what you want and just hope that you can continue to do that and accept the backlash. Like, that's what I do. Obviously, I do get a lot of hate DMs and hate messages, but I just choose to ignore them. I just, brush them off, whatever. Because at the end of the day, if you're not doing what's best for you and what's not going to benefit you, you need to think people's opinions are not going to pay your paycheck. They are just adding to your mind and they're just going to make your mind spiral. And it goes back to saying, if you want to get into influencing and the media, then you need to be prepared to have that kind of backlash. You need to be prepared to take it on and know what to do with it, because sadly some influencers that everyone knows has passed away due to suicide and that is because the media can be so horrible. But that goes back to because people are finding alternative routes that are working for them and people are getting jealous about it.
100%, man. It's like the whole idea of, is a person really going to be a decent influencer if they don't make what people want them to make. Again, it's the whole idea of, like, am I going to be successful if I choose to be myself? And that's the hard thing about it. Like, sometimes you are, innit? In some cases you are, because technically sometimes your authenticity is the demand. But it's like, that's the difficulty that I find with a lot of like influencers, and what they have to go through is their influencing technically them? And like, will that make them successful? Aaliyah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, I agree with what Sarah was saying again, but unfortunately not everyone is as thick-skinned as Sarah. And like, it's kind of sad because I can imagine there's people that want to put themselves out there and they want to influence and do these things, but they're so scared of the backlash that they don't do it. And like, I was just thinking, like, I wonder if it's like that we need to have a thicker skin, or if it's that social media needs to be kinder. Do you know what I mean? But so many like high profile people have like committed suicide and still nothing changes.
Yeah, 100%. I'm gonna let Sarah speak because I want her to have a response to that.
I think it goes back to the support. If we had a bigger support system and influencers actually decided to help each other, I reckon the backlash wouldn't matter as much, because you'd have other people's opinions and you'd have people saying, just brush it off, we're here for you, like, you are doing amazing. That constant reminder there is needed to know that you're doing a good job, and to give you that push to carry on and encourage you to carry on doing what you're doing, and to block out them people. Like you say, some people aren't thick skinned, and it does get to them a lot, unfortunately, but that just gets worse and worse as you get bigger and bigger. So before you get into influencing, you need to seriously consider how much you are willing to take and how much you can take.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, if you look at some of the most successful people in regards to influencing or promoting their product or brand or whatever it be, you can see a person who has had to deal with a lot. Like, no one has got to the top of their respective industry without being a person who has to understand backlash, who has to understand negative opinions and, like, dismissal and all these sort of things. Like, to be successful as an influencer, in my opinion, you've got to be a really strong person. And it's like, the sad thing about it, again, like we're saying, is there ain't support for people to become that, or enough support. There is, but not enough, And I think that all leads back to sort of the idea of, okay, if I want to be a good influencer who makes something of myself in 5 years' time, what have I got to be able to, what's the word I'm looking for? Endure. What have I got to be able to endure to get to that point, And I sort of think it leads a lot to like how the media is sort of how the media runs, Like, social media sites are running a way where something's trending, you will see it. Something's not trending, you won't see it, And it's like, instead of adapting to what people want to see, they're showing them what they think they should see. Again, the whole idea of, if you're an influencer, you've got to be something that people want to see. You know what I mean? It's not. It's so mad like that. Sarah, go ahead.
This is why I encourage people to go with agencies, because they do have that support in there to help you bring the potential out in yourself. Like, if you do influencing by yourself, then you're going to have to get the brands by yourself. You're going to have to reach out. You have to do all that work by yourself. But if you join an agency, then you basically tell them what you're into, and then they can fix it for you, and they encourage you. They're like, if this is a path you want to take, we're going to help you make it, basically.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I think that's an amazing thing, isn't it? Like, just the whole idea of, yeah, there are actually people or companies out there who will be like, yeah, we see what you're trying to do, and we will help you get there. Do you know what I mean? But again, it's the whole like idea of, is there enough recognition? Is there enough attempts at doing that? Because there's probably every day 100 new influencers. Do you know what I mean? Or some a person out there trying to do the same thing that the past 10,000 people have tried to do. But it's like, again, still out of those 10,000, there's probably only 10 that have actually made it that far. So the methods to success is, like Sarah's saying, being thick-skinned, having a good agency, and all these things. But again, what is the formula for that? Like, how does someone actually find these things? Aaliyah, go ahead.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say, I don't know anything about influencing. So how easy is it to get signed with an agency?
I think this is a question only Sarah can answer.
It's not so much getting signed when it comes to influencing agencies. You kind of reach out, and if they see potential in you, they accept you. But you do not have to have the most perfect feed ready. That is what agencies are there for. They're there for you to reach out and say, look, this is what I want. I don't know how to get there. Like, can you help me? And if they decide to take you on as a challenge, and if you are like starting from the bottom, you are most likely to get chosen, because they're going to be like, right, yeah, we see where you're going wrong. This is what you can improve on. This is how we're going to help you. Are you willing to put in the work? But if you turn around and say no, or you sign that contract with that agency and you turn around and say, actually, I can't do this, there is backlash to that as well. For example, the agency I'm with, if I decide to leave them, then I have to delete every photo of every collab I've ever got with them. Like, people think influencing isn't a job, or like as big as a job as others, but it has contracts, it has signatures, it has backlashes, it has deadlines you have to meet. If you don't meet them deadlines, you have to make a payment. If you don't do the photo right, you have to make a payment. If you lose the object, you have to make that payment. And that's the number one thing I say to people: think before you get into it, because although it looks like fun, you can get these free products and you can become worldwide famous and blah blah blah, you need to think about how much work needs to be put into it. It is a daily thing. You need to go on it daily. You need to reply to people daily. You need to reach out to brands if your manager can't get any. You need to accept lower brands. You need to try and work for higher ones. You need to make sure you're picked. There's so much into it. I can honestly ramble for ages.
No, I get you, man. I think as well, like, in some ways, being an influencer is like being your own CEO of your own company. Do you know what I mean? Because you're sitting there and you're thinking, right, I want to make me a brand. Do you know what I mean? I want to make myself a brand. And a brand needs a whole scope of information that you need to be sure of before, if it was an actual product, before it's a success, before you can walk into the Dragon's Den and get them 4 guys to give you a percentage. They need to see that it's worthy. Do you know what I mean? So you have to spend that time on yourself, developing yourself. And I think a lot of influencing is self-development. And in my opinion, it can be a good thing in that way, because self-development is something that all young people sort of need. And being an influencer, you are your own CEO of yourself. So you have to do those sort of things. But again, it's the difficulty of that, innit? Sarah, what do you think?
I think it does go back to being yourself. You can do it yourself. You don't need an agency. Like, I did it for 3 years by myself before, because I started when influencing just became a thing. Yeah, thank you. When influencing just became a thing and no one really knew about it. So I was doing it by myself, but it was still possible. I still had things coming to my door. I was still making it somewhere. But I think, again, going back to the support, that's the problem. To start these kind of things and these start of careers, people take advantage of people who are starting, and they're like, oh, well, you have to pay me to find out this information. You have to pay me to get all these insights that have built me up. And I think that's so wrong. Again, this is the support we do not have, and this is the support people need to get into jobs. It's like work experience. You have to go through work experience to get the job that you want, and that's what should be offered to influencers. You should have a course or something to be able to show you, like, this is how it works, this is how the media, even just showing you how Instagram features work. Because I know some people don't even know how they work and they want to get into it. But I've had girls come to me and ask for help, and I've happily helped them. But they've said to me, like, in the past, oh, they've reached out to other girls and they were so mean, and they asked for like payment, and they weren't even like a management person. And I was like, what the hell? What's wrong with these people? Like, is this what the media's done to everyone? It sent everyone crazy.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I really like the idea that you brought up of how there should actually be some sort of course that people can take. Because, see, if you want to do business, guarantee there's a business course. You want to do engineering, there's an engineering course. You want to do graphic design, there's a graphic design course. But there is no course for being an influencer out there. So it's like, it is sort of a trial and error thing. And I think that's why you get some crazy people, like Sarah said, who come into these things and don't have a single clue about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and have these demands that they don't even understand if they make sense or not. Sarah, go ahead.
I think there should be a course made, or a certain route you can choose to take influencing, because people don't realise the amount of opportunities that can stem off it. Like, I've known girls that have become Miss UK International, or I know girls that have become actors, they become people who go in music videos. I know people who've become famous just through modelling, and that's all stemmed from Instagram. Just that one app has so much power and potential in it if you're willing to put in the work and take it that far. But again, these people need a place to start. They shouldn't have to pay other influencers for information. That's not how it should work. Like, it's supposed to be a community. We're supposed to support each other, and that doesn't work in my brain.
No, 100%. Like, it is mad when you think about it. Like, when I was starting off with music, I remember I was sort of picked up by a producer, and he was like, "Yo, you're wicked. You should come to the studio. We should get a song done." Da da da. And I'm thinking, this guy's trying to give me a handout. I'm 14. What is this? Oh, hell yeah, I'll go. So I was excited. I was like, "Yo, this producer just da 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 da." I went to the studio, and he was like, "Okay, yeah, the beat is gonna cost you like £50, innit?" And I was like, "Huh? What? I didn't know that." And he was like, "Oh yeah. But obviously, if you need it mixed, if you actually want it mixed and mastered, we're gonna have to charge you like £250, £300, maybe 500 for a proper mix and master to a 14-year-old boy." So I'm here like, even got pocket change over £10. How am I doing this? Do you know what I mean? And I know how a 14-year-old boy gonna support out there if you go to certain types of people. Do you know what I mean? And like, I remember listening to this song, and I was like, this definitely needs a mix and master, but I can't afford that. So it's like, oh, that sort of stumped my opinion of myself. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, like, am I really as good as I thought I was? But then that's the thing, innit? A lot of this stuff is to do with whether or not you have the money to even get there. Sarah, go ahead.
I think that goes back to knowing people helps, definitely. Like I said, if you can find and reach out to people and make friends and, you know, suck up to them and that, then you kind of have that support group already who can help you just go that little bit, push further, so you're able to get noticed a bit more. But I definitely think going into music, with the way you make it sound anyway, you need friends who can do stuff. Or you need people who you can reach out to.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like, I was genuinely that. I think that was like the first producer that ever reached out to me, innit? And like, this was the first time I had ever been in a studio. B, I had ever been in a situation where I was trying to make an actual track recorded, and C was ever trying to get it somewhere. And it was like, that was one of the realest situations, and it taught me a lot. It taught me that this industry you ain't got no friends. Do you know what I mean? You've got to make your friends by making yourself seem like someone they want to be a friend with, if that makes sense. So like, I ended up having to go back from that, saying, no, forget this producer, first of all, because he was just trying to scam me, or he was just trying to make money off a new artist. Like, they all probably do. And I went back to the drawing board, and I was like, right, if I want to make music, let me get a MacBook, let me get a microphone, let me get a soundboard, let me get the kit, or let me go to my friend who has that, my actual friend. And now I'm in a situation where I've got producers all over the country that I am close with, that I'm friends with, that ain't no popping producer, as in they haven't got all of this and that, but they're still at a place where it's like, you know what, these people are going to help me out because we're tight. So it's like, okay, now I'm actually at a stage in making this music. Same way with influencing. You have people who can probably help you out on your level because you guys are close. Do you know what I mean? Like, your friends, or at least your acquaintances who are trying to do the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Sarah, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I wanted to pick out on a certain bit there. I wanted to completely change the topic. I want to compare modelling and their community compared to the music and influencing community, because when I went into modelling, I noticed even the biggest of photographers said to me, like, oh, I'm willing to do time for photos, which means you go to a shoot and they'll give you all the photos back that you take instead of like any payment fees or anything. And I was like, wow, like, that's actually a thing. Like, I don't have to pay you, you don't have to pay me. And I was like, no, like, to get you started up so you have something to show other people, like, I'm willing to just work with you on a collaboration basis. And when I started influencing, obviously I had brands just turning me down saying, no, like, I didn't get that information, like, maybe you should try this, like, then come back to us. And I think that's the problem, because people just come straight to people and say, no, you're not good enough, no, we're not going to take you, no, we're not going to do that. that destroys your whole dream, and that destroys your whole mindset of, can I make it that far? And that goes for the music, the modelling, the influencing, the whole of media has a big effect on each of them sections, really.
Yep, like even in regards to music again, I remember I did a performance at Sony Music Entertainment, and it wasn't actually too long ago. And the performance was a big success for me because I loved it. You know, like I was actually on stage doing the things that I enjoy. And there was a big DJ who was there, who's worked with like Kanye West, all these Skepta, everyone really. And I had a meeting with him the next day, and I sat down. Me being in a person who's never been in a meeting with no big DJ, he's saying to me, right, so what are you trying to do? And I've just said to him, like, plainly put, like, I'm just trying to make some good music, put it out there and gain some traction. And I just remember, like, as kind words, and this was one of the first times that I got a big company influencer or like DJ of that regard to sit down and say to me, right, from the moment you walked in, you didn't show the presence that you had on your track. And I was like, okay, so what do you mean? And he's like, well, you need to carry yourself like you're the guy you say you are on the songs. Do you know what I mean? And that is sort of a lot to do with how you build connections in these industries. Because if you don't carry yourself like the person who's taking the picture or the person who's making the track, you ain't really gonna get a lot of people to want to look at you. And it was like until I played the song, he said to me like, before you got in, I thought you didn't really know what you're doing with yourself. In conversation, I sort of got to understand you a bit more, but wasn't that confident. But then you put on the song, and I was like, okay, yeah, this kid's got his head on his shoulders, and that taught me a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like to build connections, you sort of have to be that confident as well. The confidence comes with the success. You know, you can't walk into a room and be humble, because to be humble, you're not gonna get nowhere. You've got to be respectful but confident at the same time, so that you're actually showing people, right, this is who I am. You got to be with it or not. And yeah, I think that's also again like what we were saying before earlier, and Sarah, about being thick-skinned. You've also got to sort of be big boned and be like, yeah, I'm that person and I can do this, and always have that mentality. Sarah, go ahead.
I completely agree with what you said. If you don't have the confidence, like in your photos or in your song, you can hear it or you can see it, and even if you don't see it yourself, other people notice that. Like, it's like if you have a spot on your face, you know it's there, but when other people look at you, you're all conscious. You're like, oh, can they see it? Can they see it? And you just need to be confident with the things you've got. Like if you're posting that picture, post it with confidence. You know, make the caption sassy. You know, catch their attention. If you're making that track, add an extra beat in it, or I don't know, make something new. I don't know. You need to stand out in these days, because if you don't, I don't feel like you're going to make it very far. But again, going back to what we said, you need to have that support to boost your confidence, to have that confidence to portray yourself, and then you're able to go further.
Yeah, that's so true, man. Like what I was saying before about when I was 14 and this producer and X, Y, and Z, at that point in time, I was just an artist alone in this big wide world. I had no clue who was going to try and help me. I had no clue how to get there. All I knew as a young, excited kid was, yeah, I want to make music. I want to make music. I want to make music. And there was no path. There was no goal. There was no friendship. And then I ended up going to another secondary school for sixth form. And I made a couple good friends. And they was like in the music room listening to beats, rapping. I was like, yeah, I want to get on this. So like I went in there. Now to this day, they're still my main support unit when it comes to music. If I want to make a beat or if I want to make a track, I'll go to him. His mate manages artists. If I want to see how I can promote something, I'll speak to him. And we're all friends. Do you know what I mean? So it's like trying to walk with a crutch. You have a crutch so you can walk easier. If you don't, you're gonna struggle. And it's like they are my support unit. Do you know what I mean? So that is like, yeah, like that's how I know that I can keep going, because I've got a support unit who, no matter what other people are saying, will go, you're hard, bro. You should keep at it. We can do this. Do you know what I mean? And that helps, you know, even though it sounds silly, like in this online environment, you really think that two people's words are going to make a difference compared to 1,000 negatives. It will, you know what I mean? And it will make you feel like these people don't know me. These lot who are standing right next to me, they know me. So they're going to be a whole lot more compassionate and real about it. You know what I mean? Because no one's going to sell you a dream neither. And that's what you need. You need some real companions or at least someone real in that industry who's going to keep you at it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to think. So obviously we've been talking a lot about like how influencers sort of have to make their name and how they keep themselves going in this hard industry. But what are some of the things that you guys actually think right regarding influencing? On the other perspective, how hard is it in regards to like what the media expect from you? Do you know what I mean? Because in my mind, it's like there's so many people who come across who these companies will come across that are either musicians, models, influencers. How do they? I don't know. Even to right now, I don't know how they filter that. How they choose who? Oh yeah, like they want to keep there. Like, what do you guys reckon? Asil, you haven't spoken, so go right ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. So when you were saying that's why when I read the title, I thought it didn't make sense because influencing and marketing, I don't think it goes together so well. As in, like you said, how are you gonna bring what the audience wants while influencing them? But in the end of the day, you're being influenced by what they want. If you see what I mean. And well, I think it is possible, but not in every occasion. For example, if a certain audience wants to be educated in a specific manner on a specific topic, then it is possible, But if all they want is, I don't know, entertainment, then you become an entertainer. You don't become an influencer, if you see what I mean.
Right. I get you. I get you. And that's the interesting thing, though, isn't it? Because I feel like with media, yeah, and with these big companies or with these record labels or with the media itself or social media pages, again, like you're saying, there's a difference between being an entertainer and an influencer. An influencer needs to be able to influence people. Do you know what I mean? But at the same time, I think it's a bit difficult to understand because I know that in the same genre, there could be an influencer and an entertainer. Do you get what I mean by that? As in, one person could make music to influence someone's opinion about the world around them, and another person could make music to entertain people when they go to the club, but it's still music. So it's like, I think that is sort of what I wanted to get onto the gist of is how do the media sort of filter these different types of factors within the same area? Do you get what I mean? Sarah, what do you think?
I think it definitely goes on hashtags because they seem to be a big thing at the moment. Hashtags have come into influencing and media a heck of a lot recently. And this does define, like I said before, having a niche is really important. And once you choose your niche, that is how the media will perceive you and that is what they will expect of you and what to see on your profile.
Yeah, that's true actually, because even while working with MSFDN, I've had to do a task where basically we look at certain types of people and try and find them, and the hashtags are a lot to do with that as well. Do you know what I mean? And I also do want to bring MSFDN sort of into the whole aspect of, like, how do we help people? Like, the thing is, we need more of what MSFDN does. Do you guys get what I mean? Because what they do is they help people in a way that doesn't benefit MSFDN, but helps that person grow. And I think that's a big problem in this industry is not a lot of people are willing to do that. They're not willing to just give someone a platform without saying, yeah, fork out the cash, mate. Do you know what I mean? And that is a big issue. Sarah, what do you think?
I was going to say, people need to remember influencers are normal people. We have been influenced. That's why we're influenced, because someone has influenced us. And just because we have the knowledge through working on Instagram, that doesn't make us better than anyone. That doesn't make us in a certain category. We're just normal people. And if it's like any job, if you decide to go into that training and invest time in it and invest learning about it, you are going to be really good in that field. And just because it's mostly girls, just because girls go into influence and they decide to dedicate their time to it, that doesn't make us stuck up. That doesn't make us these big horrible people that we're made out to be. We're just going into an industry that we feel like we belong, and people need to remember that we are just people who have been influenced and trying to influence others.
That's the thing, though, innit? That's the problem. That is the big battle that you have as an influencer, bro. Like you have to learn how to deal with people among everything else, because you can make 100,000 pictures or 100,000. If people don't actually like what you're doing, your influencing isn't going to influence no one except bring along negative critics, and no one needs that in their life. Aaliyah, go ahead.
I was gonna say what Sarah said is so true. Like, I think people forget that these influencers are human. Like, they're real people with real feelings and real emotions. And like, I feel like the media just expects them to be so perfect all the time. And as humans, we're not perfect all the time. Do you know what I mean? We all make mistakes, we all say silly things, but it's like they're not allowed to. And as soon as they do, everyone just goes into attack mode. And it's not fair on them at all.
This is why I say they treat influencers like they're products. Like, because a product has no emotion. A product has no agenda. A product don't have an opinion. But you're treating them like a product, as in to say, right, that girl taking those pictures, right? So she's just a girl who takes pictures. She hasn't actually got like a 9 to 5, or she don't. Do you know what I mean? And you can't slip up. Do you know what I mean? Like, we all know how difficult it is to always be accepted by someone. Like, we all fall out with mates sometimes. So imagine falling out with 10,000 people, bro. It's not the same thing as falling out with your best friend. It's so much worse because they can have an opinion and slander you for 10 weeks. Then next year when you try to pop out, they're still going to do it because you've just come out of your show again. Asil, speak what you wanted to say, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to say, I don't fully agree with the fact that they look for someone who's perfect. I think what they look for is, for example, for someone to teach, they would need a teacher. For someone to heal them, they would need a doctor. And for someone to train them, they would need a coach. And in the influencing industry, they would need someone who's qualified to influence, which is a very dangerous thing because nowadays anyone can be considered an influencer. While I don't very agree with this term all the time, and like, it's dangerous because there's kids involved, there's people, teenagers involved. They're being influenced about so many aspects, and some aspects can be unethical. Some aspects can like what makes you qualified to influence in the first place. So it needs to be seen in a careful way.
I get what you're saying. Like, it needs to be filtered completely, and that's the problem in itself. Is like, is there really any filter? Not really. The only filter I actually see when it comes to influencing is the response that people give the person who's influencing, and that's not a very good filter because that filter isn't respectable. That filter isn't caring. Do you know what I mean? Sarah, do you want to say what you wanted to say before we wrap up?
No, I can't remember it.
That's all good, man. All right, guys. It is the end, and I just want to say, like, I'm not gonna get emotional, but thank you guys for just listening to me ramble on for like 5 episodes because I can talk a lot, but I'm glad that I've been given the chance to talk about Aaliyah. Shut up. I'm glad that I've been given the chance to talk about stuff that actually matters. Do you know what I mean? And all these things that we've spoken about, I've enjoyed. I've actually favored a lot of these conversations, and I've liked to hear what you guys have to say. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone has a point of view, everyone has a voice, and I think it should all get heard. So, yeah, just remember, like, even though this podcast's done, thank you, Ellie, for saying that. Yeah, literally, man. Just thank you guys for listening. Take care of yourselves, and peace out, man. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, man. Take care, guys. Speak to you soon.
Thank you.